And one of the things I emphasize that changing is not easy, that changing your life, changing habits, reinventing yourself, picking yourself up after life has knocked you flat on your back. I've got to say, when life knocked you down, try and land on your back, because if you could look up, you could get up. Well, that sounds cute, but that's not easy. When I was diagnosed with prostate cancer 17 years ago, that first time that happened, I said, hey, I can handle this. Then when it came back a year later, last year, 17 years later, and this time it metastasized to 7 areas of my body and ate 40% of my T1 vertebrae. Now the stakes are higher. It's this life saying, okay, Mr. Motivator, you beat cancer the first time. What you gonna do now? I started laughing. When the doctor told me, he said, why are you laughing? Are you in denial? I said, no. I said, I feel like Mother Teresa. He said, what do you mean? She said, Lord, I know you know how much I can bear. I just wish you to have so much confidence in me. I said, the stakes are higher. So I've got to dig in and got to fight more, because at the end of the day, life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. And so it's a fight, it's a challenge in life every day. And what we have to do is embrace it. What we have to do is see it as a project to be worked on. I read something once that I live by. It said, in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. And so I see even cancer as a gift, as a God-ordained opportunity.
Number one, your life happens in 5-second windows. Number two, in 5 seconds, you can control what you think, you can decide what you're going to do, and you can change absolutely anything, which changes absolutely everything. And so the 5-second rule is a mind trick. That's all that it is. A fancy way to call it is it's a form of metacognition, but it's basically a hack. It's a cheat code.
Okay.
And the way that it works, and this is the challenge with getting it out there, is that it sounds so profoundly stupid, like a gimmick, that it took a while for people to actually take it seriously.
I get that.
And to really stack up the science to make, anybody that interacts with it go, holy like this actually works.
Yeah.
So here's what it is. Basically, the moment you catch yourself hesitating or doubting or starting to worry or about to chicken out or shrink or shut up or whatever it is that you're about to do that is shrinking your power, you just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What happens when you do that? Don't do it out loud because it'll scare somebody. Like a psycho. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm talking! Yes, exactly. No.
My turn.
Yes, exactly. By counting backwards, the kind of cheat code that you're doing in your mind is you are interrupting what are called habit loops that get encoded in the central part of your brain, and you are starting up the prefrontal cortex. It's a little trick that causes focus, and it's a lot like having a mantra, because you're shifting gears. But the thing about having a mantra is, and I suppose that as you count backwards more and more and more, you become used to it, but it becomes a habit that triggers action. So what you do is you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cut off this part of the brain, awaken this part of the brain, and then move. And what happens with the counting backwards is there's nowhere to go after 1. And your mind is socialized in a countdown situation to go. And so counting up won't work because you can keep going
forever.
and you do it in many aspects of your life, so it's actually not something that requires any focus.
When you believe in yourself that you're doing the right thing and you're giving it your all, you have to block out the criticism. You have to block out the naysayers. And a lot of times people will say, well, let it go in one ear and out the other. And I just think, don't even let it go in one ear. Don't even listen to it. Don't even go on social media. Don't read it. Don't watch the TV. And for me, it's just, stay focused on what your goal is and don't let the naysayers sway you from your goal.
Let me introduce you to the concept of success. Ben Franklin was a pretty smart guy, and I want to start with a quote by him. If you do tomorrow what you did today, you will get tomorrow what you got today. You want to know what that means? The average American makes between 3 and 5% more each year. That's the deal. And in today's economy, I'm not sure we're going to make the 3 to 4 to 5% next year as employees. So it takes you 20 years to double your income in America as an average person. That's the mediocrity that we're stuck in life. And then you meet people who have the uncanny ability to double their income in a year, to get promoted 5 times in a year. The ones that beat the system, the ones that conquer it. You've all seen them, haven't you? The difference between them and the ones that don't do that is that they wake up in the morning and they think differently. They understand that if I do tomorrow what I did today, I'm going to get tomorrow what I got today. You want a bigger car? How about a nice house in Tahiti? Sure, would you love a nice house in the hills? We all want better things, don't we? We all want more friends, more stuff, more money, more security, more travel, more enjoyment. If you do the same thing tomorrow that you did today, you're stuck. Stuck. And it doesn't change. And it grows a little at a time. And you get a taste of success. But it's never fast enough. It never excites you. And when it does, it's a good month, or a good 2 months, or a good 3 months. But it doesn't provide a trajectory that creates success. So the first thing I want you to think about today is I want you to wake up tomorrow and do something different. And understand if you do the same damn thing, you're stuck. Just because you did it a certain way yesterday is no reason to do it that way today. I want it to hit hard. That's not what drives success. You do. You do. And you do. When you go back tomorrow, you'll either start counting guests or you won't. You'll either look at your marketing budget and split it up to new frequency or expenditure, or you won't. You'll either look at your staff and get rid of the dead weight that you know is costing you money, or you won't. And you'll look at your bar programs and what you do it, or you won't. And every one of you wrote the word action down at least a few times, correct? Do it! Do it!
I want to hear your response to one of the questions that you sent all of us.
Let's do it.
So, in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? So for everybody watching, when you get this book, this is one of the questions that many of us, quote unquote, mentors have answered.
Yeah, I would say for me, it is a consistent morning practice before taking my phone off of airplane mode of sitting and doing a meditative practice for, say, 20 minutes. And it stuck initially by taking a transcendental meditation class of perhaps 3 days when I was going through a very, very difficult time. And Chase Jarvis, who's awesome and a hugely successful commercial photographer, he's worked at every big brand you can imagine and is also a very good CEO. Both he and Rick Rubin, who's like the most legendary music producer of all time. Just look at his discography; it's insane. It's like Johnny Cash, Eminem, Jay-Z, Metallica. The list is absurd. It's like everybody you've ever heard of. And he also said to me at one point, because I was going through a really rough time and I was very tightly wound, he said, "Have you ever considered TM?" And I'm like, mantra? Like you pay them to give you a mantra? It's a cult. Like I don't want to be part of a cult. And on and on and on and on and on and on. They're like, no, it's actually really secular. And I know there's like a little bit of weird stuff, but like, you can just ignore that. It's like the first hour of the talk, just ignore it. What do you have to lose? And I was going through such a difficult period at one point. I was like, that's a good point. So I did it, and that kick-started the meditation. And then I experimented with other things like Headspace, which I have no vested interest in. So you start with 10 minutes a day for 10 days as a proof of concept. And the way I'd encourage people to think about meditation, because it can sound very woo-woo, and I certainly was repelled by it for a long time, is you are sitting down, say on a couch, to practice observing your thoughts and feelings and emotions for a very short period of time so that for the rest of the day, you are less emotionally reactive. What this means is you are rehearsing, you are training. It's like going to the gym. So let's say you're training for a sport. All right, so you're an athlete in X. You go to the gym to do squats, to do this, this, and this, so that when you get on the playing field, you can perform better. It is exactly the same. You're rehearsing and training for your day. And then when you run into something that normally would trigger you, whether that's a certain type of email, whether that's an employee who has a habit that drives you insane, or you being behind in your schedule and then the line at Starbucks is longer than you would like, whatever it happens to be, the things that would normally cause you to get really tightly wound or explode or berate yourself or other people, you will then start to spot before you have the reaction. And then you say, okay, half a second of breathing, let me choose my response instead of being held hostage to these loops and triggers that we all have. So that has been enormously, enormously helpful.